Hello and welcome once again everyone. In today's video we finally get to the pinnacle of the Royal Navy heavy cruiser line, HMS Goliath. As usual, I've included the complete build including upgrades and captain skills after the main highlights, with the timestamp here on screen for your convenience. For those of you new to my channel, I've covered the tech tree line from the tier 6 HMS Devonshire upwards, with most recently the HMS Drake in previous videos. If you missed them, I've included links in the top right and a link to the complete British cruiser playlist at the end of the video. If you like what you see, make sure to hit that thumbs up button below. It really does help me gauge the popularity of these videos and is much appreciated. If you find this video helpful, make sure to share with your World of Warships friends and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all future videos. In the next video I'm going to start covering the new Swedish destroyer line, starting with the tier 5 Visby. Personally, I found the tier 9 HMS Drake felt like the first major improvement in the heavy British cruiser line, and HMS Goliath is for all intents and purposes an all-round major upgrade in a number of different ways. Let's start with Goliath's survivability. And there are a couple of important features that immediately capture my attention. Goliath's 58,600 HP represents a 25% increase compared to its predecessor, HMS Drake. When you combine this with an even more effective super repair party, Goliath can tank quite a bit of damage over the course of a game. The Citadel armour is reinforced from 177mm to 203mm. The upper belt is now 30mm, but most notably the deck armour has been increased to 40mm. This is quite interesting and quite powerful, as this brings your deck protection above the HE penetration capabilities of regular opponents like Des Moines, Moskvas, Zaus. Even a Smolensk with IFHE won't be able to pen your deck and do high explosive damage. It's very important to know when playing the Goliath, or fighting it for that matter. The only change for the negative is the removal of the aft end armour belt that was present on the Drake and Albemarle, but I haven't found myself missing this at all, to be honest. Goliath packs 4 triple mounted 234mm turrets, and these guns really do her name justice. Having come from the Drake and really enjoyed it, getting 3 extra guns simply feels amazing. The Goliath's reload is only half a second slower than that of the Drake, making it feel like a massive DPM boost. These guns really pack a powerful punch too. When you mount both fires boosting signal flags, you get a 28% fire chance. So the chance of fires with every salvo is simply huge. When you factor in the fact that raw high explosive damage is amazing, high explosive salvos over 10k are not unusual, so you start to get the picture. 59mm of HE penetration will allow you to pen most of the battleship's deck armour in the game, making Goliath a very dangerous ship to deal with if it gets time to work on its targets. Max firing range gets a 900-metre increase to 16.8 kilometers, but curiously enough Goliath gets no access to the spotter plane consumable. But 16.8 kilometers is more than manageable at tier 10. It's a full 1 kilometer more range than the Des Moines, for example. You will be primarily using high explosive in the Goliath, simply because it is amazing, and the vast majority of time you will be dealing with angled targets. But when you get broadsides, Goliath has some of the best armour penetration in the Royal Navy line, so you will be able to punish those foolhardy enough to show it to you. I'm just skirting around the edge of this cyclone while utilising these islands for cover. This is a great example of an extremely strong position, which allows me to bring my guns on all these targets, and the kind of strategy you will want to employ regularly with the Goliath. While operating in the mid-range zone of engagement, you will be a prime target for enemy battleships, while spotted So using islands to break line of sight and remain undetected will not only be key to getting good performance in the Goliath, but also just staying alive and maintaining the threat that Goliath poses to the enemy team. What actually makes a position strong, and how does one recognize it, is a problem faced by many inexperienced cruiser players, and isn't just simply solved by rushing to the first available island, hiding behind it, hoping for the best. There are a number of factors when combined create that perfect position. For example, recognizing where the enemy are moving towards. Will your position have angles of fire while denying the enemy the same? Do you have teammates which are spotting your targets? Do you have ample support? And most importantly, do you have an escape route? Never fall in love with a position that is untenable. Simple tips like not remaining zoomed in all the time and constantly watching enemy movements that can threaten your flanks and not just the target you happen to be shooting at will both help you a lot. While taking all this into account, you can bring these guns to bear on target and actually spread those fires around with regularity, which will exert a lot of pressure on the enemy team. To be honest, you will be amazed at how fast you can rack up damage in the Goliath this way. The gearing has left a very convenient smoke screen, which I'm going to take advantage of, while maintaining a firing angle on these battleships. Yes, that was a 10k HE salvo. Goliath with the full stealth build has a concealment of 11 kilometers. And it's important to note that whenever you enter a smoke screen, due to the 234mm gun caliber, you need to have at least 9 kilometers distance with direct line of sight from any enemy ship to stay concealed while firing. The Thunderer and Conqueror are now being forced into retreat. Maintaining fire on this Thunderer. There's another fire and a 5k salvo, and you can just see the regularity of actually getting fires on these targets. Swapping back to the Conqueror, I've already got a fire burning on both targets. See if we can get additional fires burning. No, but almost a 9k salvo. Just going to slightly hold this position, reversing behind the island. Thunder is falling back all the time. There's Wither after only 8.5 minutes of game time. There's another fire. Big HE salvo again. Thunder did repair that double fire. I may have overestimated his turn there. It looked like he was turning, but he did actually keep sailing straight. The North Carolina is pushing in through the middle, so I'm going to turn and start dealing with him. The Goliath still handles pretty well despite being slightly inferior to the Tier 9 Drake. There is yet another fire on that Thunderer. We had damage on the two previous fires, so that one will continue to burn. You can see the damage counter is already almost up to 160k. This is not in the least bit unusual with the Goliath. Is that North Carolina going to peek around the corner? I'm just going to keep rotating around until I can get a firing angle. There's the tip of his bow. Can still fire while undetected here, although I did get plane spotted. There are some rocket planes over the A cap. They did briefly spot me. Did have briefly 3 ships targeting me there. Here the North Carolina is turning inwards towards the ruin. I'm just a little bit too close to the island to get shells to get over that island. North Carolina's turning out. Get some torpedoes on target. These are the exact same torpedoes as with the Drake. 10 kilometers in range, 62 knots of speed, pretty good detectability. North Carolina goes down. The enemy team's resistance is well and truly broken at this point. We've only lost 2 ships. Enemy Conqueror spotted. Let's see if we can farm some damage before this game ends. Some curious torpedoes coming from the Brindisi there behind me. Excuse me, the Amalfi. There are times in this game when you need eyes in the back of your head, especially when torps come from the back line. One final aspect of the Goliath I've yet to cover in this video is its anti-aircraft defense. Now, this is not the AA monster like its light cruiser compatriot, the Minotaur, but the AA defense is adequate and comparable to the Des Moines when you break down the raw numbers in port, and combined with the defensive AA consumable, you will still be able to provide decent defense, especially when close to other AA bubbles. But if isolated, you will, like all lonely targets, still be vulnerable. The carrier was so kind to leave me in peace this game. It's always nice the odd time that does happen. When finally you get the sum of all her parts, the Goliath feels like a very powerful addition to the game. Is it the most exciting ship to play? Well, maybe not, but it's always fun figuring out how best one can get enjoyable, fun games in any ship. One can always take a more dangerous approach by fighting in open water, but this brings much greater risks and demands high levels of skill and situational awareness. I'm not saying for 1 second it's not possible, but as I wanted to demonstrate in this shorter than usual video, Goliath is capable of pumping out some very large numbers of damage in very short periods from relative safety. The enemy Tirpitz has decided to make one final brave stand. He's pushed into the open. No fire that time, but over 6,000 damage. Even on a bow-in German battleship, it's still possible to do quite significant amount of damage. Fire, another 3,000 damage. We've gone over the 200,000 damage mark, the high caliber award. Over 20 fires. Let's see if we can secure this kill before the timer runs out. No, not to be. No kills, but over 200,000 damage in a very easy game. Before going to the complete ship build, I've added some links, including the Help Me Discord and my own personal Discord in the description below. Now on to the build. Starting off with the consumables, I always recommend using premium charges, which will decrease the cooldown times of your damage control and add extra charges of repair party and defensive fire. HMS Goliath gets 6 ship upgrade slots, starting off with Main Armaments Mod 1, Damage Control Mod 1, Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 1, Concealment System Mod 1, and finally Main Battery Mod 3. On to the captain skills, starting off with Priority Target, Preventive Maintenance, Expert Loader, Jack of all Trades, Expert Marksman, Adrenaline Rush, Superintendent, Demolition Expert, and finally Concealment Expert for the complete maxed out 19-point captain. So let's take a look at what this build means for the ship's final stats. For survivability, Goliath gets 58,600 hit points, which is further enhanced by 3 super repair parties. Main artillery consists of 4 X3 234mm guns, 2 in the front and 2 in the rear, with 16.8 kilometers in range, with a reload speed of 16.3 seconds. HMS Goliath gets 2 X4 torpedo launchers, 1 on each side, with 10 kilometers in range, a torpedo speed of 62 knots, and a reload time of 96 seconds. HMS Goliath gets an AA defense rating of 82, with a long-range defense of 5.8 kilometers, which is further enhanced by the defensive fire consumable. For manoeuvrability, Goliath gets a max base speed of 33 knots, a turning circle of 800 meters, and a rudder shift time of just 10 seconds. Finally, HMS Goliath has a concealment rating of 63, meaning you will be surface detected at 11 kilometers and by aircraft at 7.1 kilometers. I'd like to thank you once again all for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more. Take a moment to check out some of my most recent videos and leave a comment below. And until the next time, keep sailing it like you stole it.